Welcome to YLDP Conversations. Today I'm privileged and honored to have with me my high school teacher, Mrs. Jyoti Swaroop. She is the English teacher that is remembered and revered in all of our alumni conversations. Jyoti means light. She has, in fact, been that guiding light for several of our students across the globe now who would love to hear from her.
Thank you, Smita.
Jyoti Swaroop has spent 4 decades of her life, which is her work's mission, to be that educator and the teacher to guide a lot of students as well as people. And she's continuing her work today. She has been in the education industry in various capacities as a teacher, a teacher's educator, an author, a consulting editor, a corporate head, and today she is with us as an educational consultant. Thank you very much, Mrs. Swaroop, for being with me today.
Thank you, Smita. My pleasure. I'm going to call you Smita because that's how I remember you from school, not Cecile. So let's stick with Smita.
Yeah. So, as always, I love fun things. So, would you be able to start me off with a couple of fun facts about yourself?
Fun facts. I'm just looking at a shelf here. I'd love to talk about my 4 grandkids. Right? The first is 14 years old, and he's a grand cat. A grand cat. And the second grandkid is a grand dog, and he's 8 years old. And then is my grandson, who's 5, and then a little granddaughter who's about going to be 3 months. So the dog are really my fun facts. I mean, they are my grandkids, so they are not animals, they are my kids. So that's a fun fact I could start with.
They're all your pets.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, everyone doesn't become a teacher just because. I feel that, there is some kind of a path that you may have thought about. So why did you become a teacher, and how did you get into teaching itself?
Oh, I stumbled into teaching. I mean, it's actually a wonderful story I share with my teacher trainees whenever I go, because I would like to believe it inspires them. So after I finished college, which was about that many years back, I was actually preparing for my IAS, which is the Indian Administrative Service, which is, a career in diplomacy, which is viewed as a very prestigious job that you could have. So I was also filling a 3-month vacancy. Someone asked me to fill in a 3-month vacancy. And I loved teaching. I think I was all of 21 then. I loved teaching, and I threw myself heart and soul into this 3-month vacancy, which I was fulfilling. So at the end of the 3 months, my correspondent, who was a very inspiring gentleman, God bless his soul, told me, my name is Jyoti and I'm called Joe, as you all know.
Mm-hmm.
Just said, I say, Joe, you would make a wonderful IAS officer, which is an administrative officer. But if you became a teacher, you will make many IAS officers, right? So that was, as I told you, I was 21, it caught my imagination. And just then I realized I was not going to prepare for the very prestigious position, which probably I could have made it, but I decided I was going into teaching. I came home, told my mom, I'm not going to work on my IAS entrance exam. I'm going to be a teacher. The idiot that I was, and the idiot that my mom was. Go ahead. So that's it. So I'm a teacher today. Whatever I've been doing the past 40 years is because I'm a teacher. Once a teacher, always a teacher.
Absolutely. And we love you.
Thank you.
So through your 40 years of this career, were there any aha moments for you that you felt, oh my God, this is why I am a teacher?
I think I was happy that I was a teacher, and I was a regular school teacher for about 20 years. I'm saying regular because people believe that someone like me, smart as me, should be doing other things. They would tell me, what's someone like you wasting your time in school? I always used to be insulted about that because I thought that, I just loved the job. So somehow I got this opportunity to work in the corporate world. And then I moved on after 20 years. The remaining 20 years, of course, I worked in a couple of corporate setups, which were again dealing with education. And then I went on to, I've always been in educational publishing all along. I think the aha moments I got was maybe a couple of them. One is I grabbed opportunity even when I was a teacher in school, in the sense, teaching in school was just one of the things I did. I was already authoring textbooks, English language course material for publishers. I was doing that even when I was a teacher in school. And it's quite surprising that our sister principal, Sister Lena, who was principal in school, she encouraged me to go ahead and do it. I used to do broadcasting, and I used to anchor programs on television. I did all these things because I just realized it gave me a 360-degree view of things. Probably a special aha moment was not one moment, it's been these 40 years, is the time I invested in my CPD, which is my continuous professional development. Somehow I just knew that I did things, I learned things. I always a sucker for learning. Even right now, at the age of 65, I'm going to be 66 shortly. I've signed up with an international company, doing a program. This program is recognized by the UN. It's a peace program, ethics for children in conflict. And we are right in the pandemic. Yes, we are right now in the pandemic. And how do we deal with conflict? So I think my CPD has been my aha moments and my professional development. I think till the day I die, I probably will be learning and learning and learning. And there is the urge to pass on, to transfer, and it goes to my teacher educators.
I think that's one of the seeds that you've sown in all of the students, the curiosity to keep achieving things. And I think that's wonderful. Today, when I'm dealing with the children at the youth leadership, those are the things you show up in my mind in so many different ways, where be it dance or be it the writing itself or be it, leadership within the school, those were areas which you made sure you were showing up and being that teacher and leading us in that way. So today's generation is a little different than what we would have been, and you being in this industry for all these years, what are the types of changes that you have seen? Is it the children, be it the children's mindset, parents' mindset, or incorporation of technology? What are you seeing in there?
Oh, there's been change, and I think the best thing about life is change, and the only thing permanent about life is change. And if you don't change and evolve, you're just wasting your time. So I see a lot of change in education. I'm told by my students, I began to teach somewhere in the late 70s and 1980s, that somehow even then I did things differently, but I think I did them by default and not by design. I guess I was maybe a good human and I think I did the right things. I'm sure there must be some students who would want to kill me, but I think I did things right. So, but right now I feel there is a lot of effort going into design. I mean, people making a concerted effort to learn techniques, to acquire skills, attitudes. These are very important. You're lucky that you did something and it worked out. And I wish I could go back and do things better. Mm-hmm. So there is change, and children, of course, are different. Teachers would like to believe children are getting more and more difficult. But I guess coming with the times, you get the kind of kids that comes with the times. So you need to be ready to handle these kids. So I think there's a lot of teacher training, there is a lot of education, there is a lot of awareness, there is a lot of wanting to acquire the latest skills and techniques which are there abroad. So you talk of a technique which is happening in New York, and we are already doing it here. You're talking about what's happening in Finland. Some of us are already trying it out here. Technology, of course. So there is a lot of technology happening, and I think it's good for teaching an old dog the new tricks, and it is also learning new tricks. I am doing a lot of webinars. I think way forward is blended learning, right? The way forward is blended learning, not all technology. Because, I mean, when you're talking of kids, the human element is there, the personal touch. You have to be in school, you have to interact. But the chalk and talk is out. There are many schools, there are many people who are doing it. Governments in the country are trying to do wonderful things. So every state government in India has some wonderful plan going. But the problem that we are facing is probably when it comes to implementation. You have these grand ideas that the state has, and they're not able to reach across because of the numbers, the masses that we have. And then, of course, I mean, the teacher training is the biggest gap. But yes, there's a lot of wonderful things happening. And there is a paradigm shift. There is a change in mindset for the better. And the pandemic is doing wonderful things, thanks to the pandemic.
So given that, a lot of schools are going into virtual learning and some schools are going into hybrid learning, do you see technology being the way? Are schools going to shift to virtual learning?
They may not shift. I don't think they can shift completely because a school is a place for interaction after all. There is, you need to cater to children's social and emotional needs, spiritual needs, and there's so much that they learn when they work with each other. I really hope our teachers in India particularly don't get back to, okay, that was all nonsense what happened during the pandemic. Let's get back to the classes and pick up your textbook and work again towards marks and grades and whatever you call them. I don't think so. And actually the government has come up with what is called the NEP, which is the new educational policy, which is 2020. This is a policy draft where in fact, a lot of it got vetted and took a great shape after the pandemic, after the COVID. So the government realized that this is the way forward. So there is not that much focus on content, on covering the portion, as we say, but as much as content is cut down by 30%, there's more of learning concepts and context and a lot of focus on values, attitudes, life skills. So this is going to be the way forward. Blended, yes. Blended, definitely. See, initially what's going to happen, I think, in India is that if you have a class of 30, so 3 days a week, half the kids turn up, the other half turns up on the other week. And the kids who are going for 3 days, the remaining 3 days, they're going to work through remote learning. Online is not the only way. There are other tools of remote learning.
Right.
Yeah, so I guess the blended format, we refer to it as blended here. That should work, and I hope it works. And if I have anything to say, I will make sure it works that way.
with you did speak about the social emotional aspect of the development of children. How is it being handled right now? When we were there, we did not have counselors. We had Mrs Jyoti Swaroop to run to. But has that changed in your environment? Because here in the United States, all of the schools have counselors for each segment of students that they are handling.
Yeah. Not as much as it is there in the US. I also visited Finland, where you have teachers, you have sub-teachers, you have assistant teachers, you have counselors, you have psychologists, you have doctors, you have nurses. So many people on the campus. No, that's a luxury we cannot afford here in India. Many schools have one counselor, maybe. Most schools I know have counselors. And when I say schools, I'm talking about the private schools that that I work with, which caters to 50% of the kids in India. The government schools have their own way of handling things. A lot has evolved. So the focus is, yes, grade 9 upwards, there is a lot of focus still on examination and marks and grades. But till grade class 8, particularly in your early childhood stage, and maybe till grade 5, till kids are 10, 12, and even pre-teens, there is a lot of integration of in fact, we had a program where we dealt with infused life skills, values, and attitudes into the curriculum. Something, even when we developed textbooks, if we talked about a lesson, even science, say a lesson on environment, was not just content, but it also had activities linked with, so what values do you learn in the sense, how do you give back to society, and how do you take care of an environment and deforestation and stuff like that, and your attitude towards something, and what skills do you acquire, thinking skills, social skills, emotional skills. So that's been going on for a while. But I'm hoping that this new policy lays it very clear to the teachers that this is it. In fact, the early childhood and care section, which is being referred to as ECCE, which is 5 years in school till you are about 8, from entry till 8. There's a lot of emphasis on just personality, holistic development. And as far as academic is concerned, if we refer to it, it's just literacy and numeracy. So we are focusing on literacy and numeracy, and everything else is going to be, how do I become a better human being? How do I contribute to society? And there is a will to make this happen. So I hope it.
That's fantastic. It's really encouraging to hear that, that shift is happening to a holistic development of the personality versus just the academic development of it. But parents will never let that go in terms of, putting the pressure on the children. And even here, high school students go through very, very high levels of stress from an academic achievement, as well as what is the college that you're going to get into, where are you going, how are you going, and that competition is still there. And I haven't seen it very different from what I saw in India. So in a non-COVID situation, parents are still parents, and
Sure.
they still would be putting that on. Over the years, you may have learned some things. There is no right or wrong way for parenting.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if you would say, okay, here are my top 3 tips. When you're sending your child to school, parents, think about this. What would those be?
First, I think would be, let the child be. Let the child be. I mean, there are a plant behind me. It's just growing the way it is. If I wanted to turn it this way and that, I'm just interfering with its natural growth. So even this passing on your whatever you want to do to your kids, even that is all kind of old fashioned now. I think one of the first things that parents should do is just leave the child be. Let the child grow towards its own inclination. When you don't fix the plant, you fix the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're growing a plant, you fix the environment of the plant, you don't fix the plant. So that would be one of the first things, is to leave it be. And 2, I think, would be support the school. Be supportive of the school. If you have genuine grievances, air them, talk to the management, discuss it. But I think if parents supported the school and believe that, it's like a 3-pronged stool, the school, the parents, and community. If these 3 came together and worked with the child, as the African proverb says, it takes a village to raise a child.
Mm-hmm.
If we can support the child from outside. And third, I guess the first 2 covers it all. Third, I would probably just tell the parents to kind of, I think the new generation parents are a little too eager, a little too in the know of things, so they know what they want. Maybe they just need to ease up in their role of being parents. What's happening in schools these days is schools are encouraging parents to, don't interfere. We'll let you know when we want your intervention. We'll take it then.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, and what's also happening in schools is that the schools need to report everything that's happening in school. I mean, your child did this today, your child did that today. In my time, we got back, we hit kids and no one knew until some kind of fractured a leg or a bone. When you were kids, it was some. Now, every little thing, your child sat, your child turned, your child did this. And when schools report this, parents take it too seriously. For everything is a complaint. I think this needs to be very clear that we are both on the same page, the school and the teacher. We are all on the same page. So let's just get onto the same page, and we are interested in the child. And I think most important things, and I'm just finished with this, is that parents should believe that the child should take accountability for its own learning.
Yes.
The child should be responsible for its own learning. It's not the parents' business. It's the parents' business to support and create the right environment and give the child the right opportunities. But we are in a culture where parents take on the load and children think they're doing the parents a favor by studying. The accountability of studying and learning should go back square to the child right from young. I think that is very important.
This whole interaction could not have come at a better time. Tomorrow, at least in the US, tomorrow is September 5th. And I would like to wish you a happy Teacher's Day. I haven't thought about September 5th as a Teacher's Day since I left school, I think. And it's really an honor for me to have this interaction with you. And I'm sure that everyone that sees this interview are going to be excited that we have had this interaction, because every time we talk about our school teachers, do you remember Jo? Do you remember how she used to dance? Do you remember how she managed all our cultural activities?
Yes, I was a terrible role model.
No, you danced with us. And I think that was amazing for all of us as students. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jyoti. It's my honor. Thank you.